It was supposed to be a normal company dinner, polished tables, crystal glasses, and polite laughter that never reached anyone's eyes. I'd been with the firm for nearly a decade, and tonight was my chance to finally step up. The partners were considering me for promotion, and my boss, Richard, had organized the dinner to celebrate the potential candidates. I brought my wife, Claire, thinking it would be nice to show the people I worked with that I wasn't just another number behind a desk. She looked stunning, black dress, red lipstick, hair tied neatly with that confident glow she always carried. As we walked in, I felt proud. But pride has a cruel way of turning into pain. It started small, harmless laughter, light touches on the arm, that playful tone she used when she wanted attention. My boss was charming, no doubt, mid-50s, silver-haired, confident, a man who knew exactly what to say to make anyone feel special. I didn't mind at first. A little friendly banter never hurt. But as the evening went on, her tone changed. It wasn't polite anymore. It was suggestive. Her laughter lingered too long, her hand rested on his sleeve a bit too easily, and her eyes, God, her eyes, they sparkled in a way they hadn't for me in months. I tried to stay composed, sipping my drink, pretending not to notice as she leaned closer to him, whispering something that made him grin. My coworkers chuckled awkwardly, trying not to stare. One even nudged me, jokingly whispering, "Your wife's making quite an impression on the boss." I forced a smile that didn't reach my eyes. Inside, something broke, not in anger, but in humiliation. It's strange how a single moment can turn admiration into disgust. Then came the final straw. Richard raised his glass, smirking. "You know, James," he said, "your wife's got quite the sense of humor. I can see why you married her." Claire laughed, brushing her hair back in that practiced, flirtatious way. "Well, someone has to keep him on his toes," she teased, looking at me like I was part of a private joke. The table erupted in laughter, everyone except me. That was the moment. The moment I decided I was done playing the fool. I set my glass down gently, stood up, and smiled, calm, polite, dangerous. "Actually, Richard," I said, my voice steady, "since we're being honest, there's something I should tell everyone." The laughter faded. Eyes turned toward me. Claire looked confused, a little nervous. "What are you doing?" she whispered. I ignored her. "You see," I continued, "I've always admired Richard's confidence. His charm. His ability to command a room. And tonight, I think my wife's admiration for him has reached new heights." A few people chuckled uneasily, thinking it was a joke. But I didn't smile. I reached into my jacket pocket and pulled out my phone. "In fact," I said, unlocking the screen, "I have something that might interest everyone." I tapped play. The room filled with the faint sound of voices, her voice. Her laughter. Her whispers. From earlier that week, when she thought I wasn't home. "Don't worry," her recorded voice said. "He won't suspect a thing. He trusts me completely." Gasps rippled through the table. Claire went pale, her fork clattering to the plate. Richard froze, his smile vanishing. "James, that's enough," he said sharply. I turned to him, calm as ever. "Enough?" "No, Richard. Enough was when I watched my wife flirt with you while you smirked about it. Enough was when you both thought no one noticed." Claire's eyes filled with tears. "James, stop it, please." "Stop?" I said softly, looking at her. "You didn't stop when you laughed in my face. You didn't stop when you touched him like I wasn't even there." I turned to the stunned table. "You all wanted honesty, there it is. My wife and my boss think I'm too polite to see what's right in front of me. Turns out, politeness ends where self-respect begins." The room was dead silent. You could hear a pin drop. Richard stood abruptly, trying to regain control. "This is inappropriate, so is sleeping with your subordinate's wife," I cut in. He froze. "What did you say?" "You heard me." I slid the phone across the table, where a few incriminating screenshots waited, messages I'd found weeks earlier, ones I'd hoped were just jokes. "Can't wait to see you after the dinner," winking face, one of them read. Another, "You always look better in that black dress." Claire covered her face, trembling. "James, it wasn't like that. I swear, I didn't save it," I said, my tone ice cold. "You swore plenty of things. None of them true." Richard's wife, sitting a few seats down, looked at him with eyes like fire. "Is this true?" she hissed. He opened his mouth, but no words came out. The damage was done. Every eye in that room saw what they needed to see. The powerful boss, stripped bare by the man he underestimated. The wife who thought her flirtation was harmless, now exposed for the fool she'd been. I took a slow breath, straightened my jacket, and said, "I think that concludes dinner. Thank you, everyone, for your company." And I walked out, calm, collected, leaving behind a silence so thick it swallowed every whisper. The next morning, I received an email from HR, not an inquiry, not a reprimand, but a promotion. Apparently, Richard had decided to take an indefinite leave for personal reasons. I didn't smile. I didn't celebrate. I just stared at the screen, realizing how poetic karma can be when you stop running from the truth. As for Claire, she tried to call, to text, to apologize. But there are some apologies that come too late. Love can survive distance, silence, even pain, but it can't survive disrespect. My wife flirted with my boss that night, thinking it was harmless, thinking she had power in her beauty and charm. But 5 minutes later, when the truth played out loud and the room fell into stunned silence, she finally realized, the power had never been hers. It was mine all along, the moment I decided to walk away without anger, without fear, and without her.